Welcome back to the Moto Show. As editor of Cycle News, one of the cool things I get to do is ride street bikes. I get to test them, I get to ride them on the racetrack, I get to ride them on the street. One of the bikes that I've always liked riding is the ZX10R from Kawasaki. This year's model, completely redone and even better. But you know what? I've dragged a guy up here that knows a little bit more about this motorcycle than I do because he's tested it and he's raced it. Let's meet Eric Bostrom.
Hey, Paul. I see ya.
Eric, what have you been doing? I know you tested this thing before Daytona. I know you raced it at Daytona. You fell down at Daytona, but we don't need to talk about that.
It happens.
What else have you been doing? I know the bicycling, and you're a busy man.
Yeah, bouncing around, but thanks for having me on the show. It's good to be back in the moto world. I've been pedaling my brains out. Ben and I are on the specialized test program. So
who's fitter, by the way, you or him?
He is, but
older too, right?
Older and fitter. I lie all the time, but he's just got it. Like, you know, I try hard, and then
I have that
he
same
beats
thing,
me,
by the way.
And then I try harder, and
Right.
he still beats me. And then he like takes some time off, and I secretly train, and he still beats me, and I'm like, I can't get this.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But why don't you tell me a little bit about this? I know you've, like I said earlier, you've spent some time with it, and they have totally redone it. And it was already a motorcycle that like takes your breath away for an average guy to go ride a bike like this. You're like,
yeah.
And you tell me about it.
No, that's exactly it. Hopefully this isn't going to be the bike that absolutely takes your breath away, and that's the whole point of it. Hollywood asked, you know, Eric, what's new about the 10? And I said everything. You know, it's like the idea here is to control the power, because in the past the thousands would just keep getting more and more out of control, and they're so unuser friendly. You know, and you look at all the race organizations when they like drop the displacement, the lap times get faster, you know, and or take lead out of the fuel, the lap times get faster. As the horsepower goes down, they get faster, and it's because they're able to put the horsepower where they want it, as opposed to just this huge bang of power. So the new 10 has this, you know, the traction control that's aided by the torque control. So everything is being sensed, and then, you know, it sort of reads what's going on. And
Keeps the guy out of trouble.
Keeps the guy out of trouble and gives you the power when you can actually use the power. And that's where we, as racers, get to cheat and kind of have that advantage, because the bikes really are unrideable with a couple hundred horsepower out of them. The contact patch is, you know, the size of a quarter, and you have 200 horsepower right here. It doesn't work.
How much, you did test it, and you did race it at Daytona, and you haven't raced it since. Is it something you'd like to get back on? Yeah,
of course. I mean, these things, it's difficult to describe. They are the funnest thing in the world, and then they slap you down and you go, man, that sucked. But you still want that, you want that rush, you know? It's just, and as a racer, it's bred into you. So I miss her for sure. She was good at Daytona. Unfortunately, we got cut a little bit short with a crash, and then overheating a front tire in the race. So happens. But back to the bike here. Really, I think my favorite thing about the bike is just rideability, and that's where they've had to come a long ways, because the bikes do keep getting faster, which is really fun, and it's neat to be able to use that power. And the way it was going, the power wasn't really that usable anymore. It was just this rush that you're talking about inside, where you're like, oh my God, that thing takes my breath away, and then you put it in the garage and kind of like afraid of it. Right. And fortunately, the new bike here is not like that. It's soft, and then it becomes strong.
Yeah, you've got me excited about it. I'm looking forward to getting on this bike. I want to thank you for coming down, talking about the bicycles. Good luck. I hope you beat Ben.
Thanks, I need it.
We're going to be right back. Let's give this thing a go.
Don't go away. Nate Adams will be joining the Moto Show when we return.